We're going to talk about perhaps the most famous freeway or highway in the United States, Route 66. We're also going to talk about some typical games that children play at school when they are young. And as always, we'll answer some of your questions. Let's get started. I have to begin our cafe today by apologizing for my voice. I have been having some problems recently with allergies. An allergy, A-L-L-E-R-G-Y, is when your body reacts negatively in a bad way to, for example, dust or what we call pollen, P-O-L-L-E-N, little pieces of a plant or flower. I have allergies, meaning that sometimes during the year I have problems with my nose, my throat, sometimes with breathing. I'm not telling you this because you are my medical doctor, but just to let you know that my throat is a little funny sounding today. My voice is a little funny sounding today because I have been having some problems with my allergies. So I hope I don't sound like a frog. We have the expression, there's a frog in my throat. A frog is a small animal, a green animal that jumps and makes a very low-sounding noise. In English, the sound a frog makes is ribbit, ribbit. Someday we'll have to do animal sounds in English. It's an interesting topic because there are different animal sounds in different languages, even though it's the same animal. Today's first topic is Route 66. A route, R-O-U-T-E, also pronounced route, is a road or a path that goes somewhere. Someone may ask you, do you know the route to San Francisco? Do you know which freeways and streets to take to get to San Francisco? Here, the word route is used as the name of a road. So it's like a freeway or a highway. Route 66 is probably the best known highway or freeway in the United States because it was one of the first major or important federal or national highways in the United States. It began back in 1926, not too long after cars became popular in the United States. It started in Chicago, Illinois. It went through several states, including Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, and California. Route 66 ended in Los Angeles originally. It was important in American history because many people during the 1930s, when there was an economic depression around the world, when the economies of the world were doing very badly, many people lost their jobs during this time. During this period of economic depression, many people moved west, and they used this freeway, Route 66, to get to California to find a new job. In the mid-1930s, Route 66 was extended to Santa Monica, California, which is right next to the ocean, not too far from where I live here in Los Angeles. Route 66 doesn't end in the ocean, however. It ends about a half a mile before you get to the beach. Route 66 was used for many years as an important freeway. However, during the 1960s and 70s, the United States built a number of what we call interstate freeways. Interstate means between the states. The U.S. government, beginning really in the 1950s with President Eisenhower, built these freeways to connect the entire United States together. Route 66 was an older freeway, and in about 1985 or so, the U.S. officially decommissioned Route 66. To decommission means that they officially removed it from the list of freeways in the U.S. highway system. Route 66 is famous. It's sometimes called the Main Street of America because many businesses and towns became prosperous after Route 66 opened. Prosperous means they made a lot of money. I called Route 66 the Main Street of America. Main Street would be the most important or principal street. Almost every city and town in the United States has a street called Main Street, and the expression is often used to refer to the most important part or the typical part of a town or a city. Another reason Route 66 became so famous is that there was a popular American song written in 1946 called "Get Your Kicks on Route 66. Kicks rhymes with 66. The expression to get your kicks, K-I-C-K-S, means to have fun, to have a good time. Get your kicks on Route 66. It was a popular song, and it was first recorded by the great American singer Nat King Cole. It has also been recorded by many, many other musical groups, including the Rolling Stones, Chuck Berry, Van Morrison, and others. Route 66 is a great song. The song mentions or talks about several different towns and cities on Route 66. The title of the song is probably the most famous part of the song. I will sing it for you. Get your kicks on Route 66. It's important that the word route be very high. And of course, my voice is not really perfect for that kind of singing. Route 66, the song, is all about what we may call the romance of traveling by car. The United States, as you may know, is a very large country. It takes days and days to drive from one side of the country to the other. So the automobile has always been an important part of popular culture, and Route 66 is one of those songs that celebrates or praises, says good things about automobile travel in the U.S. Our second topic today is playground games. These are games that American children play when they are young. The playground is the place where children play, usually in a park or perhaps next to a school. Children's games are different from country to country. Here are a couple games that most American children know and that are popular, at least when I was a child, back before electricity was invented. The first one is red light, green light. Many childhood games, many games played by children, use something, a concept called it. If you are it, that means you are the person who has to do something in order to continue the game. Someone says, "You're it." During a childhood game, it means now it's your turn to do something. And if you don't do something correctly, you will many times be out of the game. Well, in red light, green light, the it person stands at one end of the playground while everyone else is at the other end of the playground. So they're on opposite sides. The it person then turns his or her back to the others, so he's looking in a different direction, and says, "Green light." Then the players, the other children, have to run as fast as they can towards this it person. If the it person turns around and says red light, everyone has to stop right where they are. We would say everyone has to freeze, meaning you can't move your body, any part of your body. If someone doesn't stop, then they have to go back to the beginning, to the other side of the playground or the field. The first person who reaches the it person becomes the next it person. That's red light, green light. Of course, red light, green light refers to the lights on a street, on the intersection where two streets cross. Red light means stop, green light means go. Another popular game played, especially by girls, is hopscotch. Hopscotch. In hopscotch, you have squares that are marked into the ground, usually with chalk. Chalk is what you use to write on a blackboard. Here you use the chalk to make squares on the ground. The object of the game, the goal of the game, the way to win the game, is to jump with 1 foot or 2 feet in the different squares. You have to jump in a certain way depending on where the squares are. There's usually 1 square, and on top of that there are 2 squares next to each other, and then 1 square, and then 2 squares, and so on. And you have to jump in a certain order in order to win the game. That's hopscotch. It's important in hopscotch when you are jumping through the squares that your foot not touch one of the lines. Hopscotch is actually a very, very old game. It came from Great Britain and was probably something that the Romans used when they were in the island of what we now call England more than 2,000 years ago. It was probably a game that was played by the soldiers in order to improve their physical strength, to improve their what we might call footwork. F-O-O-T-W-O-R-K, how well they use their feet. The verb to hop, H-O-P, means to jump up and down. Well, enough of children's games. Now let's answer some of your questions. Our first question comes from Elizabeth, E-L-I-S-A-B-E-T-H, in Switzerland. Elizabeth wants to know the difference between in time and on time. In time has a couple of different meanings. One is in the future. For example, the baby does not walk by herself right now, but she will in time, in the future. Another use of in time means before a certain time limit is reached or expires. For example, I want to get home today in time for the start of the baseball game on television. I want to arrive home before the game begins. I want to arrive home in time. You could also say, I arrived at school in time to take the test. I arrived there before the test began, and so I was able to take it. I probably would fail it, but at least I took it. On time means to be punctual, meaning you do something at the time you are supposed to, that it is supposed to be done, or that it should be done. For example, the plane departed from the airport 20 minutes late, but it arrived on time in Los Angeles. It arrived on time. It arrived at the time that we were expecting it to arrive. Juan, W-O-N, from I'm not sure where, says he is a big fan of the television show in the U.S., Lost, and he saw a couple of characters, a couple of the people on the show, the actors, saying 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi, and he wanted to know what this meant. Mississippi, you may know, is the name of a long river that goes from Minnesota to Louisiana down to the Gulf of Mexico. Mississippi is also the name of a state. But when we use 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, we are simply counting. We use the word Mississippi because it's a long word, and it takes approximately 1 second to say it. For example, if you are telling your children that it is time to go to bed, for them to go to bed, you may say, I want you in your beds by the time I count to 10. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, and so forth. By the time you get to 10 Mississippi, 10 seconds will have passed, and your children will, of course, not be in bed. Finally, Simkin, S-I-M-K-I-N, from Russia, wants to know the meaning of the expression to knock yourself out. To knock, K-N-O-C-K, yourself out, means to go ahead and try something, to feel free to try something. For example, you may be standing in front of a video game and you are trying to get a high score and you are not doing a good job. your boyfriend or girlfriend says, "Let me try to play," and you say to her, "Knock yourself out," meaning go right ahead, feel free, I don't mind, I don't care. Or you've been trying to get your computer to work correctly, and someone says, "I think I can fix it." You say to them, "Knock yourself out. Go ahead." The expression, when it is used in boxing, means to hit someone else and make them unconscious so that they go down on the floor. Usually we use this to knock someone else out. I'm going to knock you out. Means I'm going to hit you and make you fall down to the ground and go into a state of unconsciousness. This used to happen to me all the time when I would go to the bar and ask the girls to dance with me. I would get myself knocked out.